The conference room went silent when the stranger in the expensive suit walked in. I was presenting the quarterly marketing report to my team at Fletcher Communications, pointing at the projection screen, when he interrupted. "Naomi Bennett?" His voice cut through my presentation like a knife. I turned, confused. "Yes? Can this wait?" "I'm in the middle of something." "No, it cannot wait." He walked toward me with purpose, pulling papers from his leather briefcase. "I'm attorney Richard Morrison, representing your husband Travis Bennett. I'm here to serve you divorce papers." My stomach dropped. Around the table, my colleagues exchanged shocked glances. My assistant Rachel's hand flew to her mouth. "You could have done this privately," I said quietly, trying to maintain my composure. Morrison smiled. It was not a kind smile. "My client wanted to ensure you received these immediately. According to the terms outlined here, Mr. Bennett is seeking full custody of your children, the house, and the majority of marital assets. He's been quite thorough in documenting your failures as a wife and mother." The words hit me like physical blows. 15 years of marriage, and Travis had sent his lawyer to humiliate me in front of my co-workers. "Furthermore," Morrison continued, clearly enjoying himself, "your children have expressed their desire to drop your surname entirely. They prefer to be known solely as Bennetts. They've made it quite clear where their loyalties lie." That one hurt the most. My Simone and Brandon, whom I had carried, birthed, and raised, didn't want my name anymore. I felt tears threatening, but I refused to cry in front of this cruel man. Morrison placed the papers on the conference table with a flourish. "You have 30 days to respond, though I'll be honest, Mrs. Bennett, you don't have much ground to stand on. My client has built an airtight case. You should consider settling quickly and quietly." Something in his smugness triggered a calm that settled over me like a blanket. I had known this was coming. For 6 months I had prepared for this exact moment. I reached into my bag and pulled out a sealed manila envelope. It was thick, stuffed with documents I had carefully compiled over months of investigation. "Mr. Morrison," I said, my voice steady now, "I need you to deliver this to your client. Today. Before he does anything else." Morrison took the envelope with a condescending chuckle. "More desperate pleading? I assure you my client has moved on. He has no interest in reconciliation." "Just deliver it," I repeated. "And tell Travis that I know everything. Every single detail." Something in my tone made Morrison pause. He looked at the envelope, then back at me. "What's this about?" "That's between me and Travis. But I suggest he read it before filing those papers with the court. In fact, I strongly suggest he read it in the next few hours." Morrison shrugged, tucking the envelope under his arm. "Whatever helps you sleep at night, Mrs. Bennett. But this changes nothing. You've lost your family, your home, and by the time we're done, probably your dignity too." He left the conference room, leaving me standing there with divorce papers in my hand and my colleagues staring at me in shock. Rachel stood up. "Naomi, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "I need a few minutes," I managed to say. "Can someone finish the presentation?" I walked out with my head high, made it to the bathroom, and locked myself in a stall. Only then did I let myself shake. Not from fear or sadness, but from the adrenaline of knowing that everything I had planned was now in motion. The envelope I had given Morrison contained copies of documents that would destroy Travis's case and his life as he knew it. Inside was evidence of a 15-year-old crime that he and his mother had committed together, a crime they thought was buried forever. I had discovered it by accident 6 months ago, and since then, I had been gathering every piece of proof I could find. Bank statements, email correspondence, legal documents, witness statements. Everything. Travis thought he was destroying me today. He had no idea that by the end of this day, his entire world would be burning down around him. My phone was in my hand. I thought about my children and how their father had poisoned them against me. I thought about the years I had spent supporting Travis through law school, raising our babies while he built his career. I thought about all the nights I had waited up for him while he claimed to be working late, when he was actually with her. Whitney. His paralegal. The affair had been going on for almost a year before I discovered it. That discovery had led me down a path of investigation that uncovered something far worse than adultery. I splashed cold water on my face and looked at myself in the mirror. I was 42 years old and I looked tired. The past 6 months of secret investigation while pretending everything was normal had taken their toll. But today that all ended. I pulled out my phone and sent a text to my lawyer, Catherine Reeves. The papers were served. I gave him the envelope. "It's done." Her response came within seconds. "Good. I'll be ready. Remember, don't respond to any calls or messages from Travis or his family. Let them panic. Let them wonder. We control the narrative now." I took a deep breath and walked back to my desk. My coworkers tried not to stare, but I could feel their eyes on me. News like this spread fast in an office. Let them talk, I thought. By tomorrow they would all know the truth about Travis Bennett. By tomorrow everyone would know. 15 years earlier, I had met Travis at a coffee shop near the university. I was working on my master's degree in communications, and he was in his second year of law school. He had been charming, ambitious, and full of dreams about the future. "I'm going to be a partner at a top firm before I'm 40, he had told me on our third date. "I'm going to build something important." I had believed in him. More than that, I had invested in him. When we got married 6 months later, I put my own career ambitions on hold. Travis needed to focus on school and someone had to pay the bills. I took a full-time job at an advertising agency while he studied. I worked overtime to cover our rent, his tuition, and his bar exam fees. "Once I'm established, it'll be your turn," he had promised. "You can go back to school, build your career. I'll support you the way you're supporting me now." That day never came. When Travis graduated and landed his first position at Morrison & Associates, I was pregnant with Simone. He said it made sense for me to stay home for a while, just until the baby was older. I agreed, thinking it would be temporary. Then Brandon came along 2 years later, and suddenly I was a full-time mother of 2. Travis's career flourished while I changed diapers, attended parent-teacher conferences, and volunteered for every school event. I packed his lunches, pressed his suits, and made sure he never had to worry about anything except his work. When the children started school, I tried to return to my career. But 7 years out of the workforce had left me behind. I took a position at Fletcher Communications, starting over at an entry level despite my master's degree. Travis had been supportive, or so I thought. "It's good for you to have something of your own," he had said. But there was always an edge to it, a subtle implication that my job was secondary, almost a hobby compared to his important legal work. Our life looked perfect from the outside. We lived in a beautiful 4-bedroom house in Riverside Heights, the kind of neighborhood with tree-lined streets and block parties. Travis joined the country club. I organized charity fundraisers. We sent our children to private school. Every Sunday we had dinner at Patricia's house. Travis's mother had built a successful real estate investment company after her husband died, and she loved to remind us how hard she had worked for everything she had. She was elegant and cold, always dressed in designer clothes, always subtly critical of how I ran my household. "Naomi dear, are you sure you should be eating that?" she would say, eyeing my plate. "You've put on a bit of weight." Or, "The children seem tired. Are you keeping them up too late?" Travis never defended me. He would just smile and change the subject, leaving me to swallow my hurt in silence. The cracks in our marriage had started small. Travis working later and later hours. Travis being distracted when he was home. Travis stopping to touch me casually the way he used to. But I had convinced myself these were normal changes, the natural evolution of a long marriage. Then came the parent-teacher conference last year that changed everything. Simone's teacher had mentioned that Simone seemed distracted lately. She told me her father has a new friend named Whitney who comes over sometimes. She said Whitney is very pretty and makes her dad laugh. My blood had gone cold. I had smiled and nodded, but inside I was already putting pieces together. The late nights. The new cologne. The way Travis had password-protected his phone. That night, after Travis came home at 10 o'clock claiming he had been in a deposition, I made a decision. I would find out the truth no matter what it took. It took me 3 weeks to crack his phone password. It was Simone's birthday followed by Brandon's, something I should have guessed sooner. What I found inside destroyed the last remnants of my trust. Messages to Whitney. Hundreds of them. Some were explicit, discussing intimate details of their encounters. Others were worse, casual conversations about their future together. He was planning to leave me. He was just waiting for the right time. But I didn't confront him. Something told me to wait, to dig deeper. If Travis was capable of this betrayal, what else might he be hiding? I hired a private investigator named Douglas Chin. Douglas was retired FBI, thorough and discreet. I gave him everything I had found and asked him to follow Travis, to document his affair, to find out everything. Douglas came back with more than I expected. Yes, Travis was having an affair with Whitney. They met at a hotel every Thursday evening like clockwork. But Douglas had also discovered something else while following Travis to various meetings. Travis had been moving large amounts of money through accounts I didn't know existed. Accounts in both our names, set up years ago, accounts that I had supposedly signed paperwork for but had no memory of ever signing. "These signatures are forged," Douglas had told me, pointing at documents. Someone used your identity to set up these accounts, and the money flowing through them doesn't match up with your husband's income. That had been the moment when everything changed. This was not just about adultery. This was about fraud, possibly embezzlement. This was about Travis using my identity for something criminal. I had told Douglas to keep digging no matter the cost. I liquidated my small savings account to pay him. Over the next 4 months, Douglas uncovered a trail that led straight to Patricia. 15 years ago, when Patricia's real estate company was struggling, she had embezzled money from her investors. Nearly $2 million had been funneled through fake property deals and non-existent renovation projects. She should have gone to prison. Instead, Travis, fresh out of law school, had helped her hide it. They had laundered the money through a complex series of accounts and shell companies. Some of those accounts were in my name, created using forged signatures. Travis had made me an unwitting accomplice to his mother's crime. The evidence was all there. Bank records, email correspondence between Travis and Patricia discussing how to move the money. Legal documents with my forged signature. Testimony from one of Patricia's former employees who had known about the embezzlement and had kept quiet out of fear. I had sat in Douglas's office, staring at the pile of evidence, feeling numb. My husband had not only betrayed me with another woman. He had betrayed me by using my identity to cover up a crime. He had put me at risk of criminal prosecution to protect his mother. And now he wanted to take my children away from me. The Thursday evening 6 months ago when I first followed Travis was burned into my memory. I had told him I was going to a work dinner, but instead, I had parked down the street from his office and waited. At 6:30, Travis emerged with a woman I recognized from the firm's holiday party. Whitney was younger than me by at least 10 years, blonde, wearing a red dress that hugged her figure. They got into Travis's car and I followed them to the Grand Marquis Hotel downtown. I sat in my car and watched them walk into the hotel together, his hand on her lower back in a gesture that was achingly familiar. That was how he used to touch me years ago when we were still in love. I should have felt rage, but all I felt was a cold, clear determination. This was the evidence I needed. But something told me not to confront them yet. Something told me there was more to find. I went home and pretended everything was normal when Travis returned at 11, claiming he had been working on a difficult case. I smiled and asked how his day was. He kissed my forehead absently and went to take a shower. While he showered, I went through his briefcase. I had done this several times already, but tonight I found something different. A folder marked Bennett Family Trust that I had never seen before. Inside were bank statements for accounts I didn't know we had. Accounts with both our names on them, showing regular deposits and withdrawals over the past 15 years. The amounts were staggering. Hundreds of thousands of dollars flowing in and out. I took photos of every document with my phone, my hands shaking. This was not right. Where was this money coming from? Where was it going? The next morning, after Travis left for work and the children left for school, I called Douglas. Within a week, he had traced the money back to Patricia's company and the embezzlement. Your husband helped his mother steal nearly $2 million, Douglas had explained, spreading documents across his desk. They moved it through various accounts, made it look legitimate. Some of that money was invested in properties that were then sold at inflated prices. Some of it was moved offshore and brought back through shell companies. But why use my name? I had asked. Protection. If anyone started investigating, the trail would lead to you, not them. You were his insurance policy. If the authorities came asking questions, Travis could claim you set up these accounts without his knowledge. You were the fall guy. The betrayal had been so deep, so calculated, that I had trouble breathing. Travis had not just stopped loving me. He had been using me as a shield for his criminal activity. Douglas had continued his investigation, tracking down every piece of evidence. He found the former employee of Patricia's company, a woman named Carol Singh, who had worked in accounting during the embezzlement. Carol had known what was happening but had been too afraid to come forward. Patricia threatened my family, Carol told me when we met at a quiet cafe. She said if I told anyone she would destroy my husband's business. She's a powerful woman with powerful connections. I believed her. Why are you talking to me now? I had asked. Carol looked tired. Because it's been eating at me for 15 years. Because I have a daughter and I keep thinking about what kind of example I'm setting by staying silent. When your investigator contacted me, I realized this was my chance to finally do the right thing. Carol provided copies of the original accounting records showing the embezzlement. She provided emails between herself and Patricia discussing how to hide the missing money. She agreed to testify if needed. With Carol's help, Douglas had built an airtight case. We had bank records, emails, forged documents, and witness testimony. We had everything. I had taken all of this to Catherine Reeves, the best divorce attorney in the city. Catherine was known for her aggressive representation of women in high-profile divorces. She took one look at the evidence and smiled. "This is more than a divorce case," she had said. "This is fraud, embezzlement and identity theft. Your husband is going to prison and so is his mother. But first, we're going to make sure you get everything you deserve in the divorce." Over the next few months, while I continued to live with Travis and pretend nothing was wrong, Catherine and I built our strategy. We decided to wait for Travis to make the first move. Let him file for divorce. Let him think he had the upper hand. "Men like Travis are arrogant," Catherine had explained. "He thinks he's smarter than you, more powerful. Let him file first. Let him make his demands. Then we'll show him exactly who he's been underestimating." The hardest part had been watching Travis turn our children against me. It had started subtly. Small comments about how I was always working late, how I seemed distracted, how I had changed. Then it escalated. "Your mother doesn't understand what it takes to build a real career," I had overheard him telling Simone. "She gave up too easily on her own ambitions. That's not the kind of example you should follow." Or to Brandon, "Your mother worries too much. She doesn't let you have any freedom. When you're with me, we'll do things differently." I had tried to counteract his poison, but children believe what they hear from their parents. And Travis was relentless. By the time he served me with divorce papers, both Simone and Brandon had been thoroughly convinced that I was the problem in our family. The day Morrison served me those papers, the day he told me my children wanted to drop my surname, I thought my heart would break. But I held firm to my plan. Soon, very soon, the truth would come out. That evening after being served, I went home to an empty house. Travis had apparently taken the children somewhere, probably to celebrate his victory. I sat in the silent kitchen, the divorce papers spread on the table in front of me, and waited. My phone stayed silent until 7 o'clock. Then it started. The first call was from Patricia. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. On the fourth call I answered. "Naomi." Her voice was different than I had ever heard it. Not cold and critical. Desperate. "Naomi, we need to talk. Please." "There's nothing to talk about, Patricia." "What was in that envelope?" Her words tumbled out fast. "What did you give Travis's lawyer?" "He brought it to Travis and Travis brought it to me and now he's panicking." "Naomi, what have you done?" "I've done nothing except protect myself and my children," I said calmly. "Everything in that envelope is the truth. The truth about what you did 15 years ago. The truth about what Travis helped you do." There was a long silence. Then Patricia's voice came back, smaller. "How did you find out? Does it matter?" "I know everything. The embezzlement. The money laundering. The forged signatures. I have proof, Patricia. Documents, witness testimony, everything." "You don't understand," Patricia said, and now she was crying. "I had no choice. The company was failing. My investors were going to pull out. I would have lost everything my husband built. I was trying to save his legacy. By stealing from people who trusted you? I always intended to pay it back," she insisted. "And I did, eventually. Over the years I replaced the money. No one lost anything in the end. Except your integrity," I said. "And your son's. And mine, since you used my identity to hide your crime." "That was Travis's idea," Patricia said quickly. "I told him we should leave you out of it, but he said it was the safest way." "I'm sorry, Naomi. I truly am. But please, we can fix this. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you. Just don't go to the authorities." "It's too late for that," I told her. "I reported it 3 days ago. The investigation is already underway." Patricia gasped. "You what?" "I reported the embezzlement to the district attorney's office. They're very interested in white-collar crime, especially when it involves money laundering and identity theft. They have all the evidence I collected." "You've destroyed us," Patricia whispered. "You've destroyed your own family." "No," I said firmly. "Travis destroyed our family when he chose to lie to me, cheat on me, and use me as a shield for his crimes. You destroyed your own life when you chose to steal from innocent people. I'm just making sure you both face the consequences of your choices." I hung up on her crying. The next call came an hour later. "Travis." I almost didn't answer, but Catherine had told me to document everything, so I put him on speaker and hit record. "Naomi." His voice was tight with anger. "What the hell is that envelope about?" "Hello, Travis. How was your celebration? This isn't funny. Is this some kind of blackmail? Are you trying to scare me?" "I'm not trying anything," I said. "I'm simply making sure the truth comes out. You reported my mother to the DA? His voice rose. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what this means? I know exactly what it means. It means she'll face consequences for embezzling $2 million. It means you'll face consequences for helping her hide it and for using my identity to do so. Those accounts were necessary for legitimate business purposes, Travis said, but he sounded less certain. You signed those documents. No, I didn't. Those signatures were forged and I can prove it. I have a handwriting expert who will testify that those are not my signatures. I have witnesses who will confirm I knew nothing about those accounts. And I have evidence that you and Patricia deliberately hid this from me. There was a long pause. I could almost hear him thinking, calculating his options. If you go through with this, you'll destroy the children's lives too, he finally said. Is that what you want? Your own children to suffer because you're vindictive? I'm protecting our children, I shot back. I'm making sure they learn that actions have consequences. That you can't lie and cheat and commit crimes without eventually facing justice. You're the one who taught them to reject their own mother. You're the one who turned them against me with lies. Don't you dare blame me for the consequences of your own choices. Naomi, please. Now his tone shifted, became pleading. We can work this out. You don't have to do this. We can go to counseling, fix our marriage. I'll end things with Whitney. We can start over. The audacity of it almost made me laugh. You think I would ever trust you again? You think I could ever forget what you've done? No, Travis. This marriage is over. And unlike you, I'm going to make sure everything is done legally and honestly. You're making a mistake, he said, and the anger was back. My firm has resources. We'll fight this. We'll prove those accounts were legitimate. We'll show that you were involved in everything from the start. Good luck with that, I said. Because I have evidence that proves otherwise. I have documentation showing exactly when those accounts were created, when those documents were forged, and how you and Patricia moved that money. I have a witness who worked in your mother's company and who is willing to testify about the embezzlement. You can try to fight this, Travis, but you'll lose. I hung up before he could respond. The rest of the evening, I ignored the constant calls and text messages from Travis, Patricia, and even Morrison, who apparently was reconsidering his involvement in the divorce case now that his client was potentially facing criminal charges. Instead, I called Catherine. It's done, I told her. They know everything now. How are you feeling? She asked. Honestly? Relieved. For 6 months, I've been carrying this secret, pretending everything was normal. Now it's out in the open. Whatever happens next, at least I don't have to lie anymore. The DA's office will probably want to interview you again soon, Catherine said. And we need to prepare for Travis to change his strategy in the divorce. He'll probably try to drag this out now, hoping the criminal investigation goes away. Let him try, I said. I'm done being afraid of him. That night I slept better than I had in months. The next morning I woke up to text messages from both Simone and Brandon. They were confused, upset, demanding to know what was happening. Travis had apparently told them some version of events, painting me as the villain trying to hurt their grandmother. I texted back, I love you both. I'm sorry this is confusing. Can we meet this afternoon and talk? Just the three of us. Brandon replied immediately, Dad says we're not supposed to talk to you without his lawyer present. That hurt, but I had expected it. It's okay. When you're ready, I'll be here. Simone didn't respond at all. I got ready for work, determined to maintain some sense of normalcy. At Fletcher Communications, my colleagues were carefully avoiding the subject of yesterday's dramatic scene. Rachel brought me coffee and squeezed my shoulder supportively, but didn't ask questions. I threw myself into work, grateful for the distraction. But at lunch, Catherine called. The DA wants to meet with you tomorrow morning. They've started their investigation and have some questions. Should I be worried? I asked. No. You're a victim in this case, not a suspect. They want to understand the full scope of the fraud and how Travis used your identity. Just tell them the truth. That's all you need to do. That afternoon, I met with Catherine at her office to prepare for the DA meeting. We went over every document, every piece of evidence, making sure I understood exactly what I had discovered and when. Travis is going to argue that you knew about these accounts, Catherine explained. He'll try to claim you were a willing participant in moving the money. We need to prove that you had no knowledge of any of this until recently. I have proof, I said. I have my own bank statements showing I never accessed those accounts. I have testimony from Douglas about when I hired him and what he found. I have the handwriting analysis showing those signatures were forged. Good. But Travis will have expensive lawyers. They'll try to find any inconsistency in your story, Any moment where you might have known something was wrong and didn't ask questions. I thought about all the years I had trusted Travis completely, never questioning his financial decisions. I was stupid to trust him so much, I admitted. You weren't stupid. You were a wife who believed her husband was honest. There's nothing wrong with that. The criminal here is Travis, not you. Over the next week, I met with the DA's office twice. They were thorough, asking about every detail of my marriage, my finances, my knowledge of Patricia's business. I told them everything honestly. The lead investigator, a woman named Jennifer Ramirez, was sympathetic but professional. Mrs. Bennett, I need to ask you directly. At any point during your marriage, did you have any suspicion that your husband was involved in illegal activity? Not until I discovered the affair, I answered. That's when I started investigating, and that's when I found everything else. And before that? No unusual behavior? No suspicious conversations? I thought carefully. Travis was always secretive about his mother's business. If I asked questions about her company, he would shut down the conversation. But I thought that was just him being private, not him hiding a crime. Jennifer nodded, making notes. And these accounts that were opened in your name. You truly never saw any statements or correspondence about them? Never. I asked Travis about it after I found the evidence. He said he had them sent to his office to keep the finances organized. But the truth is, he never wanted me to know they existed. The investigation progressed quickly. With Carol's testimony and the documents I had provided, the DA's office had enough evidence to bring charges. Within 2 weeks, Travis was officially under investigation for fraud, money laundering, and identity theft. Patricia was also under investigation for embezzlement. The news hit Travis's law firm hard. Morrison and Associates immediately suspended Travis pending the outcome of the investigation. His partnership was in jeopardy. His reputation, carefully built over 15 years, was crumbling. Meanwhile, the divorce proceedings took a dramatic turn. Morrison withdrew as Travis's attorney, citing a conflict of interest now that he had potentially been involved in serving papers based on fraudulent claims. Travis had to hire a new lawyer, and this one was far less aggressive. Catherine filed our response to Travis's divorce petition. We countered every one of his demands. Instead of Travis getting full custody, we sought full custody for me. Instead of Travis getting the house, we argued that since marital assets had been commingled with potentially illegal funds, everything needed to be thoroughly investigated before division. Most importantly, we sought full disclosure of all of Travis's finances, including any accounts or assets he hadn't declared. If he wanted to claim he deserved the majority of marital assets, he would have to prove where every penny came from. Travis's new lawyer, Gerald Hoffman, tried to negotiate. He called Catherine repeatedly, suggesting we settle quietly and avoid a messy trial. My client is willing to agree to joint custody, Hoffman said during one call that Catherine put on speaker. And he'll give your client the house. We just want to move forward without all this drama. Your client is under investigation for multiple felonies, Catherine responded. There's no settling this quietly. My client deserves full custody, given that Travis has been lying to their children and using them as weapons. And as for the house and assets, we'll wait for the court to decide once all the illegal accounts are untangled. You're being unreasonable, Hoffman said. No, Catherine replied. We're being fair. Your client should have thought about the consequences before he decided to cheat on his wife, steal money, and commit fraud. As the weeks passed, I focused on myself and my work. I got a promotion at Fletcher Communications. My presentation that had been interrupted by Morrison's dramatic entrance had impressed the executives despite the circumstances. They made me senior marketing director with a significant raise and more responsibilities. I started therapy to deal with the emotional fallout of everything. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Klein, helped me process the betrayal and recognize my own strength. You survived 15 years with a man who was using you, Dr. Klein said during one session. And when you discovered the truth, you didn't fall apart. You built a case. You protected yourself and your children. That takes incredible courage. I don't feel courageous, I admitted. I feel tired. And angry. And sad. Those feelings are all valid, she assured me. You're allowed to grieve the marriage you thought you had. But you're also allowed to be proud of yourself for refusing to be a victim. I found support in unexpected places. My colleagues at work rallied around me. Rachel became a close friend, checking on me regularly and inviting me to social events. My older sister Angela, who lived across the country, called me every few days to remind me I was loved. But my children remained distant. Travis had convinced them I was trying to hurt the family. Every attempt I made to reach out was met with silence or hostility. That was the hardest part. Fighting Travis, facing Patricia, dealing with the investigation and the divorce. All of that was difficult, but I could handle it. Not being able to talk to my own children was almost unbearable. 3 weeks after the envelope was delivered, Travis's world completely fell apart. The district attorney's office announced formal charges against both Patricia and Travis. Patricia was charged with embezzlement and fraud. Travis was charged with money laundering, fraud, and identity theft. The story made local headlines. Prominent attorney charged in mother's embezzlement scheme. Morrison and Associates officially terminated Travis's employment. His partnership was dissolved, his office cleared out, his name removed from all firm materials. 15 years of building his career, gone in a day. Whitney, the paralegal he had been having an affair with, also lost her job. The firm couldn't keep her on after the scandal. The affair became public knowledge when court documents mentioned her as a witness to Travis's suspicious financial behavior. She had apparently helped him move some of the money, probably without understanding what she was really doing. I felt no sympathy for her. She had known Travis was married. She had known about me and the children. She had chosen to be with him anyway. But the affair was the least of Travis's problems now. Patricia called me again, this time begging me to drop the charges. As if I had that power. Naomi, please. I'm an old woman. I can't go to prison. It will kill me. You should have thought about that before you stole $2 million, I replied coldly. I made a mistake 15 years ago. Haven't I suffered enough? Please, for the sake of your children. They need their grandmother. My children need to learn that crime has consequences. They need to understand that wealth and status don't put you above the law. Maybe watching their father and grandmother face justice will teach them something valuable. You're cruel, Patricia hissed, her desperation turning to anger. I always knew you weren't good enough for my son. Your son is a criminal. He lied to me for 15 years, cheated on me, tried to steal my children, and used my identity to commit fraud. But sure, Patricia. I'm the problem. I hung up and blocked her number. Travis tried a different approach. He started posting on social media, carefully worded messages suggesting he was being persecuted. Sometimes the truth gets twisted in legal proceedings. I have faith that justice will prevail and my name will be cleared. His friends and colleagues commented with support, unaware of the full story. But then someone leaked the details of the charges to a local news blog. Within hours, his social media posts were flooded with different kind of comments. You stole money and blamed your wife? Cheating and criminal? Wow. I hope they throw the book at you. Travis deleted his posts and made his accounts private. The preliminary hearings began. Catherine made sure I was prepared for what was coming. Travis's lawyer will try to make you look like a willing participant. They'll suggest you knew about the money and only reported it when the marriage fell apart. You need to stay calm and stick to the truth. The first hearing was procedural, establishing the timeline and evidence. I sat in the courtroom watching Travis at the defendant's table. He looked smaller than I remembered, his confidence stripped away. He glanced back at me once and I met his eyes without flinching. This was the man I had loved, the man I had built a life with. Now he was a stranger facing criminal charges. His mother sat in the gallery, looking fragile and old. For a moment I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered how she had treated me over the years, the constant criticism, the subtle put-downs. I remembered that she had used my name to hide her crime. Any sympathy I felt evaporated. After the hearing, reporters tried to talk to me. Catherine had prepared me for this too. Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel seeing your husband charged with these crimes? I'm cooperating fully with the investigation and focused on protecting my children. Do you think your husband will go to prison? That's for the court to decide. I just want the truth to come out. Catherine pulled me away before they could ask more questions. You did great. Short answers, no emotion. Perfect. But I did feel emotion. As we walked to the car, I felt a wave of grief wash over me. This was really happening. My marriage was truly over. The father of my children was facing prison time. Our family would never be the same. It's okay to be sad, Catherine said gently, noticing my expression. Even after everything he did, you're allowed to grieve. I don't know what I'm grieving, I admitted. The marriage has been dead for a long time. Maybe I'm just grieving the life I thought we had, the future I thought we'd have. That's valid, Catherine said. But remember, you're also building a new future. One where you're not being lied to or used. That's worth something. That evening I got a phone call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Mrs. Bennett? This is Carol Singh. Carol. Hi. How are you? I'm okay. I just wanted to call and thank you. Testifying about the embezzlement has been scary, but it's also been freeing. I've been carrying that guilt for 15 years. Now I can finally let it go. Thank you for having the courage to come forward, I said. Without your testimony, this case wouldn't be as strong. I should have come forward years ago. But I was afraid. Patricia made threats, and I believed she could ruin my life. She can't hurt you anymore, I assured her. I know. And neither can your husband. You're very brave, Mrs. Bennett. After we hung up, I sat thinking about bravery. I didn't feel brave. I felt exhausted and sad and angry. But maybe bravery wasn't about not feeling those things. Maybe it was about feeling them and moving forward anyway. 6 weeks after the initial charges were filed, Travis's lawyer reached out to Catherine with a proposal. Travis wanted to meet with me, just the two of us, to discuss the divorce and the children. Catherine was skeptical. It could be a trap. He might try to record you saying something he can use against you. Then I'll be careful what I say, I replied. But if there's any chance of fixing things with the children, I have to try. We agreed to meet at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop downtown. Catherine insisted on being nearby, sitting at a different table where she could see us but not hear our conversation. Travis arrived 10 minutes late, looking haggard. He had lost weight and there were dark circles under his eyes. He sat down across from me without ordering anything. "Thank you for meeting me," he said. "What do you want, Travis?" He took a deep breath. "I want to explain. About everything. There's nothing to explain. You cheated on me, you committed crimes, and you used my identity to do it. Those are facts. I never meant for any of this to happen," he said. "The thing with my mother, that was 15 years ago. I was young, just out of law school. She was desperate and I wanted to help her. By stealing money? By protecting her. She made a mistake and I tried to fix it. The account's in your name, that was wrong. I know that. But I was trying to keep you safe." Safe. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You put me at risk of criminal prosecution. You made me an unknowing accessory to a crime. That's not protecting me." "I thought I could keep it contained," he insisted. "I thought no one would ever find out. And they didn't for 15 years. We could have gone our whole lives without anyone knowing. Until you decided to divorce me and take everything," I pointed out. "Did you really think I would just accept that? Did you think I wouldn't fight back?" Travis ran his hands through his hair. "I made mistakes in our marriage. I know that. The affair with Whitney, that was wrong. But you have to understand, our marriage had been dead for years. We were just going through the motions. Because you stopped trying," I said. "Because you stopped seeing me as a partner and started seeing me as an obstacle. When did that happen, Travis? When did you decide I was disposable?" He didn't answer. "Let me tell you what I think happened," I continued. "I think you got comfortable. I supported you through law school, raised your children, built a home for you. And once you had everything you wanted, you didn't need me anymore. You found someone younger, someone who didn't remind you of your responsibilities. And you decided to get rid of me." "That's not fair," Travis protested. "Fair?" My voice rose slightly. "You tried to take my children. You turned them against me. You had your lawyer humiliate me at work. And you call me unfair?" "I'm sorry about that," he said, and he actually looked ashamed. "Morrison went too far. I never wanted you to be hurt like that. But you did want to hurt me. You wanted to destroy me in the divorce. You wanted me to have nothing. Why, Travis? What did I ever do to deserve that?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Because I was angry," he finally admitted. "Angry that you were so good, so patient. Angry that you made me feel guilty for wanting something different. Angry that I couldn't just leave without everyone thinking I was the bad guy." "You are the bad guy," I said flatly. "You're a cheater and a criminal. That's not my fault. That's your choice." "I know." His voice was barely a whisper. "I know that now. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix anything," I told him. "Sorry doesn't give me back 15 years. Sorry doesn't repair the damage you've done to our children." "They hate me now," Travis said. "Simone won't talk to me. Brandon said he's ashamed of me. I've lost them." "You lost them when you lied to them about me. When you turned them against their own mother to make yourself look better. They're not upset because of what I did. They're upset because they finally see who you really are." "Can you help me fix this?" he asked desperately. "Can you talk to them? Tell them I'm not a monster?" I stared at him in disbelief. "You want me to defend you? After everything you've done?" "For their sake," he said. "They need their father. They need a father who tells them the truth. A father who takes responsibility for his actions. Are you prepared to be that person? Travis looked away. I don't know if I can face them. Not after this. Then you've already lost them, I said. Because they need you to be honest even if the truth is ugly. They need you to show them that you understand what you did wrong and that you're trying to be better. Are you going to be honest with them? He asked. Are you going to tell them about the money? I'm going to tell them the truth, I said. All of it. The affair, the embezzlement, everything. They deserve to know. That will destroy any chance I have of a relationship with them. No, I corrected him. Your actions destroyed that chance. I'm just making sure they understand what really happened. Travis stood up. I guess there's nothing left to say then. Actually, there is one thing, I said. I want you to agree to joint therapy with the children. With a professional who can help them process all of this. And I want you to tell them the truth in those sessions. No more lies. Why would you want me to have time with them? He asked suspiciously. Because despite everything you're still their father. And they need to come to terms with that. But it has to be on honest terms, not based on more lies. Travis nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. And one more thing, I added. When this is all over, when the court cases are done, I want you to stay away from me. I don't want random calls or attempts to reconnect. We're co-parents, nothing more. Can you respect that? Yes, he said quietly. I can respect that. After he left, Catherine came over to my table. How did it go? About as well as could be expected. He's finally starting to understand what he's lost. Do you think he's genuinely sorry? Catherine asked. I thought about it. I think he's sorry he got caught. I think he's sorry his life fell apart. But I don't know if he's truly sorry for what he did to me. That's probably accurate, Catherine said. Men like Travis are usually more concerned with consequences than guilt. 2 days later, I met with Simone and Brandon at a family counseling center. The therapist, Dr. Marcus Powell, had agreed to mediate our conversation. My children looked nervous and confused when they arrived. We sat in a comfortable room with soft chairs and calming blue walls. Thank you both for coming, I started. I know the past few weeks have been confusing and scary. Dad said you're trying to send Grandma to prison, Simone said accusingly. She was wearing a green sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked so much like me at her age. That's not exactly what happened, I said gently. Let me explain everything and then you can ask any questions you want. Over the next hour, I told them the truth. About the embezzlement, about their father's involvement, about the forged signatures in my name. I explained how I had discovered the affair and how that had led to finding out about the financial crimes. Your father used my name to hide what your grandmother had done, I explained. If anyone had caught them, I would have been blamed instead of them. But why would Dad do that? Brandon asked. He was only 12, still young enough to believe parents were supposed to be perfect. I don't know, I answered honestly. Maybe he thought he was protecting his mother. Maybe he thought he would never get caught. But it was wrong and now he has to face the consequences. Are you trying to punish him? Simone asked. No, sweetheart. I'm trying to protect myself and protect both of you. What your father and grandmother did was illegal. I had to report it, not to hurt them, but because it was the right thing to do. Dad said you never loved us, Simone said, and her voice cracked. He said you were always too focused on your job, that you didn't care about our family. My heart broke. Simone, that's not true. I have always loved you both more than anything in the world. Your father said those things because he was trying to make himself look better. He was trying to turn you against me so that when he divorced me, you would take his side. Why would he do that? She whispered. Because people sometimes do terrible things when they're scared or angry. And your father was both. He knew what he had done was wrong and he knew I might find out. So he tried to make sure you wouldn't believe me if I told you the truth. Dr. Powell interjected. Simone, Brandon, what your mother is describing is called parental alienation. It's when one parent tries to damage the relationship between the children and the other parent. It's a form of emotional manipulation. Did Dad really have an affair? Brandon asked quietly. I nodded. Yes. With a woman from his office. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Is that why you're getting divorced? Simone asked. That's part of it, I said. But honestly, our marriage had problems long before that. Your father and I grew apart. We stopped being partners. And instead of trying to fix it or ending things honestly, he chose to lie and hurt people. I don't know what to believe anymore, Simone said, wiping tears from her eyes. I know, baby. And that's okay. You don't have to figure everything out right now. but I want you to know that I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. I love you both so much and nothing will ever change that." We spent another hour in Dr. Powell's office, talking through their feelings and concerns. It wasn't easy and there were tears from all of us. But by the end I felt like we had made progress. When it was time to leave, Brandon hugged me tightly. Simone hesitated, then hugged me too. "I'm sorry I believed what Dad said about you," she whispered. "It's not your fault," I assured her. "He's your father. You're supposed to be able to trust him. I'm just glad we're talking now." The divorce trial began 8 weeks after the initial charges were filed. By this point, Travis had pleaded guilty to the criminal charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. His lawyer had negotiated a deal where he would testify against Patricia in exchange for serving 2 years instead of 5. Patricia refused to take a plea deal. She maintained that she had done nothing wrong, that the money had been used for legitimate business purposes. Her trial was scheduled for later in the year. But first we had to get through the divorce. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, with wood-paneled walls and fluorescent lighting. Travis sat at one table with his lawyer Gerald Hoffman. I sat at another table with Catherine. Judge Rebecca Thompson presided. She was known for being fair but strict, with no patience for games or theatrics. The first day was mostly procedural. Hoffman laid out Travis's position, claiming that despite his criminal activities, he still deserved joint custody and an equal division of assets. "My client made mistakes," Hoffman argued. "But he has been a dedicated father. His children need him in their lives." Catherine stood to respond. "Your Honor, Mr. Bennett systematically alienated his children from their mother. He lied to them, manipulated them, and used them as weapons in this divorce. He has shown no remorse for the emotional damage he caused." "We'll hear testimony from the children," Judge Thompson said. "They're old enough to express their preferences regarding custody." Over the next few days, various witnesses testified. Douglas testified about his investigation and what he had found. Carol testified about the embezzlement and Patricia's threats. A handwriting expert testified that the signatures on the account documents were not mine. Then it was time for the children to testify. Judge Thompson met with them privately in her chambers, as was standard for minors in custody cases. When they emerged, Simone looked like she had been crying. Brandon's face was set in determination. Judge Thompson returned to the bench and addressed the court. "I've spoken with both children at length. They have expressed clear preferences regarding custody, and their reasoning is sound. I'll incorporate their wishes into my final ruling." The final day of the trial came down to closing arguments. Hoffman tried one last time to make Travis look sympathetic. "Your Honor, my client has lost his career, his reputation, and potentially his freedom. He's facing incarceration for helping his elderly mother. Hasn't he suffered enough? His children are all he has left. Please don't take them away from him too." Catherine was unmoved. "Your Honor, Mr. Bennett's suffering is a direct result of his own choices. He chose to commit crimes. He chose to have an affair. He chose to lie to his children and turn them against their mother. Those consequences don't mean he deserves custody. If anything, they demonstrate exactly why he shouldn't have it. My client has been the stable parent throughout this entire ordeal. She's the one who has been honest, who has put her children's needs first, who has maintained a home and a career despite everything her husband did to destroy her. She deserves primary custody." Judge Thompson took a day to deliberate. When we returned for the ruling, the courtroom was packed with people. News of the case had spread, and local media were covering the story. After careful consideration of all testimony and evidence, Judge Thompson began, "I'm ruling as follows. Primary physical custody of both minor children is granted to the plaintiff, Naomi Bennett. Travis Bennett will have supervised visitation rights twice per month until he completes his prison sentence. After his release, we will revisit the custody arrangement based on his behavior and rehabilitation." Travis's face crumbled. Hoffman put a hand on his shoulder. Judge Thompson continued. "Regarding division of assets, all accounts that were established using forged signatures are considered fraudulent and will not be included in the marital assets. The family home will go to Mrs. Bennett, as will the majority of legitimate marital savings. Mr. Bennett will retain his retirement account and his personal vehicle. Regarding spousal support, given Mr. Bennett's incarceration and loss of income, no support will be paid in either direction at this time." Catherine squeezed my hand under the table. "Finally," Judge Thompson said, looking directly at Travis, "I want to address the issue of parental alienation. Mr. Bennett, what you did to your children and their relationship with their mother was unconscionable. You used them as pawns in your attempt to avoid consequences for your own bad behavior. I hope that during your incarceration, you take time to reflect on the damage you've caused to your family. These children deserved better from you. The gavel came down. It was over. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us again. Catherine handled most of the questions while I stood beside her, trying to process what had just happened. Mrs. Bennett, how do you feel about the judge's ruling? I'm grateful that justice was served, I said simply. My primary concern has always been my children's well-being. I'm glad the court recognized that. Do you have any message for your ex-husband? I thought about it. I hope he uses his time in prison to become a better person. For our children's sake. That evening, I sat with Simone and Brandon in our living room. The house felt different now, lighter somehow. The weight of secrets and lies had been lifted. So Dad's really going to prison? Brandon asked. Yes, for 2 years. But you can write to him and we'll arrange visits. Do we have to? Simone asked. No, I said. Not if you don't want to. But he's still your father and someday you might want a relationship with him. I won't stand in the way of that. Are you okay, Mom? Brandon asked suddenly. The question surprised me. I'm getting there. Are you okay? I'm sorry we believed Dad when he said bad things about you, he said. We should have known better. You're kids, I reminded him. You're supposed to trust your parents. What happened isn't your fault. Can we start over? Simone asked. As a family, just the 3 of us? I pulled them both close. Yes, we can absolutely start over. The weeks after the trial were strange. For so long, my life had been consumed by the investigation, the divorce, the court battles. Now suddenly it was quiet. The house felt bigger with just the 3 of us. We repainted the walls in bright colors that Patricia had always criticized as too bold. I let Simone choose a deep red for the dining room. Brandon picked a bright blue for his bedroom. Work became a refuge. My promotion meant more responsibility, but also more freedom to make decisions and implement my ideas. Fletcher Communications was launching a new campaign for a major client, and I was leading the team. One afternoon, a colleague named Gabriel Chin stopped by my office. He was an art director, someone I had worked with on several projects but didn't know well personally. Hey Naomi. I just wanted to say congratulations on the campaign approval. Your pitch was brilliant. Thanks, Gabriel. That means a lot. Listen, he hesitated. I know you've been through a rough time. If you ever want to grab coffee or lunch just as friends, I'd love to hear your ideas for the next campaign. I smiled. That would be nice. But I'm not really ready for anything beyond friendship. I understand. Friends it is. Having a friend at work who didn't treat me like fragile glass was refreshing. Gabriel and I started having lunch once a week, discussing work projects and occasionally personal things. He never pushed for more, never made me uncomfortable. He was just there, steady and kind. My therapy sessions with Dr. Klein continued. We talked about rebuilding my sense of self after years of being defined by my marriage. You spent 15 years being Travis's wife, Dr. Klein said. Now you get to figure out who Naomi is on her own. It's scary, I admitted. I got married so young. I don't remember who I was before Travis. Then this is your chance to discover who you are now. Not who you were, but who you want to be. I started taking painting classes on Saturday mornings. I had always loved art but had given it up after getting married. Now, standing in front of a canvas with a brush in my hand, I felt something wake up inside me that had been sleeping for years. Simone and Brandon were adjusting too. Family therapy with Dr. Powell helped them process their feelings about their father. They wrote him letters occasionally but weren't ready for visits yet. I respected their decision. I'm still angry at him, Simone told me one evening. We were cooking dinner together, something we did most nights now. That's okay. You're allowed to be angry. But I also miss him sometimes. The dad he used to be before everything happened. That's okay too, I said. People are complicated. You can miss who he was while being angry about what he did. Brandon was quieter about his feelings, but I noticed small changes. He smiled more. He brought friends home from school. One day he asked if he could join the soccer team. Of course, I said. Why are you asking permission? Dad used to say sports were a waste of time. That I should focus on academics. Brandon, you can do both. And if soccer makes you happy, then it's not a waste of time. Patricia reached out one more time before her trial. She sent a letter to the house marked personal and confidential. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. Dear Naomi, it began. I know you have no reason to listen to me. I know I have caused you tremendous pain. But I want you to know that I am sorry. Not sorry that I got caught, but truly sorry for the choices I made that hurt you and my grandchildren. I was greedy and afraid, and I let those feelings drive me to do terrible things. I used you and I allowed my son to use you, and that is unforgivable. I don't expect your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I did was wrong, and I will spend whatever time I have left trying to make amends. Please tell Simone and Brandon that I love them, and I'm sorry for the example I set. They deserved better. You all deserved better. The letter was signed simply, Patricia. I showed it to Dr. Klein in our next session. How does reading this make you feel? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to believe she's genuine. But another part thinks this is just manipulation, trying to get sympathy before her trial. Both could be true, Dr. Klein said. She might genuinely regret her actions while also hoping for leniency. Should I respond? Do you want to? I thought about it. No. I don't think I do. I don't have anything left to say to her. Patricia's trial lasted 2 weeks. The evidence against her was overwhelming. Carol's testimony, combined with the financial records and Travis's own testimony, left no doubt about her guilt. She was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 5 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 3. At 72 years old, it was essentially a life sentence. I didn't attend the trial. I had no desire to see Patricia again. But I read about the verdict in the news and felt a strange mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Justice had been served. But it didn't bring back the years of my life that had been wasted on lies. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from Travis's prison. He wanted to put me on his approved visitor list. Why? I asked the administrator. He says he has something important to tell you. Tell him he can write me a letter, I said. I'm not coming to visit. The letter arrived 2 weeks later. Unlike Patricia's, this one was long and rambling. Travis wrote about his regrets, his understanding of what he had done wrong, his plans for when he got out. I know I can't undo the past, he wrote. But I want to be a better father to Simone and Brandon. When I get out, I want to rebuild my relationship with them. I'm not asking you to forgive me or to give me another chance. I just want the opportunity to show my children that people can change. I filed the letter away without responding. Travis's rehabilitation was his own responsibility, not mine. As summer approached, I made plans to take Simone and Brandon on a vacation. We had never traveled much as a family because Travis had always been too busy with work. Where do you want to go? I asked them. The beach, Brandon said immediately. Can we go somewhere with art museums? Simone added. How about Charleston? I suggested. Beautiful beaches and lots of history and art. We spent a week in Charleston walking on the beach, exploring museums, eating seafood and talking. Really talking without the weight of secrets and lies pressing down on us. One evening, watching the sunset over the ocean, Simone said, Mom, are you happy? I'm getting there, I answered honestly. Are you? Yeah, she said. I think I am. Brandon threw a shell into the waves. Do you think you'll ever get married again? Maybe someday, I said. But I'm not in any hurry. Right now I'm focused on us. On building a good life for the 3 of us. That sounds good, Brandon said. And it did. After everything we had been through, having a simple, honest life together sounded perfect. Fall arrived, bringing cooler weather and new routines. Simone started high school, throwing herself into drama club. Brandon excelled at soccer and made new friends on the team. I continued to grow in my career, leading successful campaigns and earning the respect of my colleagues. Gabriel and I remained friends, though there was an undercurrent of possibility between us that neither of us addressed. He was patient, never pushing, just being present. One afternoon, as we walked to a nearby cafe for lunch, he said, I'm glad we're friends, Naomi. Me too. But I want you to know, when you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'd like to be more than friends. I stopped walking. Gabriel? No pressure, he said quickly. I just wanted you to know. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. His honesty was refreshing. After years of Travis's lies, having someone be straightforward was a gift. Thank you, I said. For being patient. For being kind. I'm not ready yet, but maybe someday. Someday is good enough for me. The legal aftermath of everything finally settled. Patricia was in prison, serving her sentence. Travis completed his first year of incarceration and was apparently a model prisoner. He wrote to the children monthly now, and they occasionally wrote back. The relationship was fragile, but it existed. His lawyer contacted me about potential early release due to good behavior. He could be out in 18 months instead of 2 years. That's between him and the parole board, I said. I'm not going to advocate for or against it. He was hoping you might write a letter in support. No, I said firmly. Travis needs to earn his second chance on his own merits, not by asking me to bail him out again. The lawyer didn't call back. My relationship with my children deepened. We had family dinners every night talking about our days. We played board games on weekends. We supported each other's interests and goals. One evening, Simone brought up something that had been on her mind. Mom, do you ever regret marrying Dad? Like, do you wish you never met him? I thought carefully before answering. No. Because if I hadn't married him, I wouldn't have you and Brandon. You two are the best things that ever happened to me. So no, I don't regret the marriage. I just regret that it didn't turn out the way I hoped. Do you think you'll trust anyone again? Brandon asked. I think so. Not right away and not easily. But yes, eventually. What your father did doesn't mean everyone will lie to me. Gabriel seems nice, Simone said with a small smile. He is nice, I agreed. And we're friends. That's all it is right now. But maybe someday it could be more, she pressed. Maybe. But I'm not rushing into anything. I'm happy with how things are right now. And I was. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. At work, I received another promotion. Director of Marketing with a significant salary increase in my own team. Rachel became my assistant officially and we made a great partnership. Remember when Morrison served you those papers in the conference room? She said one day. I thought that was the end of the world. So did I admitted. But look at you now. You're thriving. It was true. I was thriving. Not despite what had happened but because of how I had handled it. I had been knocked down but I had gotten back up. I had faced betrayal and humiliation and I had come out stronger. The anniversary of being served the divorce papers arrived. 1 year since that awful day when Morrison had walked into my presentation and changed my life. I took myself out to lunch at a nice restaurant, sitting alone with a book and a glass of wine. I was celebrating not the end of my marriage, but the beginning of my independence. My phone buzzed with a text from Gabriel. Hey, still on for coffee next week? Absolutely, I typed back. Another text came through, this time from Simone. Can we have movie night tonight? Brandon and I want to watch that new comedy. Perfect. I'll pick up pizza on the way home. These were the moments that mattered now. Simple plans with people who cared about me. No drama, no secrets, no lies. Just honest, uncomplicated affection. Before leaving the restaurant, I took a moment to reflect on everything that had happened over the past year. The pain, the anger, the fear. But also the strength I had discovered, the relationships I had rebuilt, the life I had reclaimed. Travis had tried to destroy me. He had failed. Patricia had tried to use me. She had failed. I had survived and more than that, I had thrived. That evening, curled up on the couch with my children, watching a silly comedy and eating pizza, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete happiness. Hey Mom, Brandon said during a commercial break. I'm glad you're our mom. I'm glad I'm your mom too, I said, pulling him close. Simone leaned against my other shoulder. We love you, Mom. I love you both so much. As the movie resumed, I closed my eyes for just a moment, savoring the peace and contentment of this simple evening. This was what I had fought for. Not revenge, not justice, but this. The chance to build a new life with my children, free from lies and manipulation. Travis had taken so much from me. But he hadn't been able to take this. He hadn't been able to take my strength, my resilience, or my love for my children. The envelope I had handed Morrison that day had contained evidence that destroyed Travis's case. But it had done more than that. It had freed me from years of deception and given me the chance to start over. And that was the greatest victory of all. A few weeks later, Gabriel finally asked me to dinner. Not just coffee but an actual date. I know you said you weren't ready, he started nervously. But it's been over a year now and I thought maybe... Yes, I interrupted him. Yes, I'd like to have dinner with you. His face lit up with the most genuine smile I had seen in a long time. Really? Really? But Gabriel, I need you to understand something. I'm not looking to rush into anything serious. I need to take things slow. Slow is good, he assured me. Slow is perfect. I just want to spend time with you. Our first date was simple. Dinner at a quiet Italian restaurant, conversation that flowed easily, laughter that felt natural. He walked me to my car afterwards and didn't try to kiss me. He just squeezed my hand and said, "Thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for being patient." As I drove home that night, I realized I was genuinely excited about the future for the first time in years. Not because of Gabriel specifically, but because I was finally ready to let someone in. Ready to trust again even if it was scary. The story that had started with humiliation in a conference room had transformed into something else entirely. It had become a story of resilience, of fighting back, of refusing to be a victim. I had handed Travis's lawyer an envelope that day, thinking I was just defending myself in a divorce. But really, I was reclaiming my life. And now, a year later, I had built something better than what I had lost. A life based on honesty, a relationship with my children built on trust, and the possibility of love without lies. Travis was in prison, facing the consequences of his choices. Patricia was in prison, paying for her crimes. And I was free. Finally, completely free. That was all the revenge I needed.